The concept of a company as a separate legal entity is not a mere theoretical abstraction. It finds validation in the records of judicial history. This section scrutinizes legal precedents and significant court decisions in India that have solidified the recognition of a company as an entity distinct from its members. Legal precedents in India, Solomon and Company, 1897. Background: while not an Indian case, Solomon and Company from the UK profoundly influenced Indian corporate law. Indian courts have often referred to this case to establish the principle of a company's separate legal identity. It laid the foundation for the understanding that a company is distinct from its shareholders. Lifting of corporate veil. Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, versus State of Andhra Pradesh, 2004. Key point: in this case, the court discussed the circumstances under which the corporate veil could be lifted. It emphasized that while a company is a separate legal entity, there are instances where the court can look beyond the corporate veil to determine the real controllers and beneficiaries, ensuring that the concept of separate legal identity is not misused. Implications of a separate legal identity. Acceptance of a company as a separate legal entity has profound implications in the Indian legal landscape. The following examples highlight the practical consequences of this recognition in various legal contexts. Contractual obligations. Case example: Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, versus State of Maharashtra, 2005. In this case, TCS, as a separate legal entity, entered into a complex contractual agreement. The court upheld the sanctity of the contract, emphasizing that the rights and obligations under the contract are to be attributed to the company, not its shareholders. This reinforces the principle that a company can independently enter into contracts. Liability issues and corporate veil. Case example: Salgauchar Mining Industries Private Limited versus Commissioner of Income Tax, 2013. The court in this case explored the boundaries of limited liability. It reiterated that shareholders are generally not personally liable for the company's debts. The corporate veil, unless pierced under exceptional circumstances, shields shareholders from personal liability. This affirms the protection of individual assets from corporate debts. Tortious liability. Case example: Donahue Stevenson, 1953. Influential foreign precedent. While not Indian, the principles from this case have been cited in Indian courts. The idea that a company can be held independently liable for tortious acts, irrespective of the liability of its members, reinforces the practical consequences of a company's separate legal identity in matters of civil wrongs and liability. These examples showcase how the separate legal identity of a company in India translates into tangible outcomes in contractual dealings, liability issues, and tortious liability. Understanding these implications is imperative for legal practitioners advising companies and entities navigating the intricate legal landscape in India.